Yep.
Hallå!
Welcome.
Thank you. So, this is Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri. This is our small brewery.
Andrew, I'm sitting here at Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri, one of my absolute favorite breweries. Thank you very much for having us.
No problem at all. Happy to have you down.
Yeah, beer bubbles at Nynäshamn.
Even just having a visitor at the moment is...
It's not that often now. No.
It hasn't been for a long time. So
Let's start with a beer.
yeah, let's do it.
And I think you know what I want.
Yeah, of course you want the photo. You know you too well for that.
As I said in the first ever Beer Bubbles YouTube episode, this together with Dale's Pale Ale are my absolute favorite beers in the world. So cheers.
Cheers.
So Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri, you're not from here.
No,
How did you end up here?
I'm an Australian that's a little bit lost, you might say. 5 years ago, my other half, better half, got the dream job that she was looking for over here in Sorotaya, and we moved on over. So I was just tagging along, to be honest. I'd done some brewing back home and got myself educated back home, and I was having a bit of a career change at the same time as changing country and language and everything. And we moved across to together, and I ended up here, landed on my feet entirely. So, and it was a really good fit.
Well, you found the best brewery in Sweden.
I think so. Yeah, I really do think so.
But your education back home, what was that? How did you end up being a brewer?
Yeah, I think we all start as a home brewer. So we did that, and I was lucky enough to be living at the time right next to a technical college, which was the only one in the country that actually had a brewing course and brewery on site. It was this 500 litre, way over spec, like you could do anything on this brew house. And there was a mad scientist lecturer there that liked doing crazy things, but doing things still true to style. So I kind of learnt that there from him, and going chasing awards for that, brewing true to style. And we even won some awards with some of the beers that we do. And we started there as a mash course for home brewing. He did that. So that was the first time I met Stephen. And went through several courses. And then there was a collective of us that like hung around after class, and then hung around after class turned into spending our days off there, and he'd be doing something else, and he was letting us brew our beers or experiment or do things, and he'd give us a challenge with a beer, and we'd go and brew it, and then we'd see what awards we could win with it.
And it was just next door to one of the first craft beer breweries in Australia as well.
Yeah, it's right across the road from Cooper's, and he does the training for them.
Okay.
So it was the right place. And I think, if Cooper's, for those who don't know, is the largest family-owned brewery in Australia. Everyone else has been sold off to the giants. They also have a home brewing side. So they do. I don't know if you sell them here. Have you seen the tins of Cooper's? Yeah, you can, the home brew kits, and you get basically the big syrup, and you pour it in, and everybody starts that way. But I think without Cooper's, we wouldn't have the craft scene in Australia that we do now. That certainly kickstarted that after all the big boys, ABV and whatnot, had bought every brewery in the country. So I did that. It gave you some connections to have other brew days in other breweries around the Adelaide region. So that was pretty cool. And then we were doing the move over here. So I
ended up in Sweden, ended up at Nynäshamn, ended up with your own beer.
Yeah.
Anchored an Aussie Pale Ale. What is that?
Well, truth be known, like many good beers, it started as a mistake. We were actually, a couple of us were over in Colorado and we were collaborating with Scar and going to a festival with them. There was one point we were in a big American pickup, 5 men, a whole lot of man funk, and we stopped for a pee on the side of the road, and we grabbed a can of their Brute IPA, which is the Moral Panic, I think it's called. And we all cracked one as we got back in the truck and kept driving. And over the top of the man funk that was happening in that cabin, the Galaxy hop really, that passion fruit really exploded, and it was just this explosion of passion fruit in the cabin. And I think that was probably the point that we said we want to do something like that, New World hops. And we came back and we tried to do a brut IPA. There's an enzyme involved in thinning that out, but it didn't take. We didn't give it enough time, or for whatever reason. It was our first shot. So we ended up just with a pale ale. It wasn't strong enough for an IPA, and yeah, we hopped it some more in the tank, and then we went rogue and we took it to a beer festival down south, and it was a hit. So yeah, kind of organically.
And now it's a staple.
Now it's a staple, yeah. And for me, it's overwhelmed with how well it's been received. It's really, it's such a simple beer for us as Australians. Like, it's our common beer, a pale ale.
It's like the extra Cooper's Extra
yeah,
dry pale ale.
Yeah, the green label Cooper's Pale Ale. Yeah, there's two style guidelines for Australian pale ale. One's based around that Cooper's one, so they always win on that award. And then the other one's all the craft brewers, and that's like fruitier and yeah, typically with Galaxy and Australian hops like that. So yeah, Australian hops that finish it off. Ella and Cascade, Ella and Vic Secret. And we're playing with a little bit of Galaxy when we can get it. It's a bit hard to get Galaxy at the moment. So.
And we're sitting at your beautiful tap room right now.
Yeah.
With this nice tap. Probably Kriba who's made this.
Yeah.
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 The crazy. I walked around the brewery earlier on, and we were talking about how you've changed the change your bottles.
Yeah.
So you actually fit them in a smaller box, so you don't have any overhang on the pallets. Now Kriba had made the tapping machine actually pick up the bottles in a straight line.
Yeah.
But then it moves, so it's...
And it moves them.
So
they're on an angle.
Yeah, they're on an angle when they go out.
It picks up the bottles as a square block, and as it moves, it also turns and slots them so it fits in these boxes.
And I said, I'm so happy he's not a mad scientist set to take over the world, because he would.
Yeah.
But we're not sitting here alone today. We actually have two other guys from the brewery here. We have Marcus and Frederick.
Hello there.
Frederick, who was nice enough to pick me up this morning and drive me down here. Yeah. You're drinking his beer.
Yeah, Aussie worse.
The Aussie.
Aussie. Real nice.
Oh, I'm just gonna see if I can get you back in the picture. There we are. It's Corona times. It's restrictions this, restrictions that. It's not hard. It's not easy to just look into the future and see what's going to happen. But do you have any other plans going on right now?
We have. There's always like equipment that we're upgrading. So we're still like in a pretty good position there. I mean, we have a pretty good share across restaurants and the system below it. So we already had a good share in there. So I think that's done really well. And just before the whole thing, the Corona thing kicked off, we actually signed off a whole lot of special brews, and we're having some real success now just with brewing old world beers that maybe are a little bit forgotten, but still brilliant beers. So we're not chasing anything crazy and cloudy.
I see that in quite a lot of breweries now. Stigberry's got their new line out with like old style beers. You do it. I think I saw another one the other day that did like an old style Märzen. Yeah. And it's like people are coming back to basics again.
Yeah. I think Bedarö is like a really good story like that. You know, it's been there from the start. And
of course, you tweak the recipe a bit.
Yeah, everything has to.
I remember the old brewery, but like the floor was packed dirt, and then like when you went up to the tap room upstairs, you had to. Even I'm a short guy. I couldn't stand straight in that space. It's like absolutely crazy.
The dirt was probably an ingredient.
Yeah. It's mixed fermentation.
But that's a good example where I think back then when the guys, I wasn't here at the time, but they were pitching that to restaurants or punters or turning up at a beer thing, and they were having punters that were used to the big brands that we know of tasteless lagers. The drinkers were just drinking that.
This was extreme back then.
And this was extreme, yeah. And now we're finding like people have gone out. This has been like a good segue into craft, I think, for a lot of people. Oh shit, it's a beer with some flavour. I didn't know that existed. And then they'll go off on their adventure. They'll go and chase IPAs or stouts or maybe sours. Even sours, and then the New England craze and whatever else is happening. And then we're finding a lot of those people coming full circle, coming back, and just liking a simple basic beer that's really well built. or at least on that evening, you get through some of those stronger ones, and you need something to cleanse the palate.
And it's only 4.5%.
Yeah, sessionable.
I have to ask you, this is a bit of a harder question though. I said to you earlier, I'm not going to give you any tough questions, but this one is a little bit.
Fire away.
New England style IPAs, or hazies and fruities and juicies and whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, why?
Are they a style that is going to survive? Because freshness is everything when it comes to those kinds of beers.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think the pandemic's done a lot of damage to a lot of breweries that were brewing New England because it was so fresh, because they had their stockpile of hops and the beer already brewed, and then everyone suddenly stopped buying, or restaurants certainly, pubs. So then they've got to be able to brew on a small basis to try and slow down the production of the beer and keep it fresh. So I think it's a challenge in a time like this. That short shelf life is, shelf life I think is just as important, because it can sit in a restaurant and go bad because the restaurant hasn't sold it. Yeah.
But is the style going to survive?
It came very quickly.
Yeah.
So maybe it goes very quickly. I'm going to stick with that as a theory, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's a craze. But
So it's the next. I've been on about this for ages and ages, because I'm old and old school, but I really love the old styles. I love my clean malts, my clean lagers, like the old milds that you can drink loads of without falling off your chair, and like, are those styles coming back properly, or is it just that it's gonna come back a bit because some of the brewers are starting to do new marketing of that kind of stock?
Yeah, I think in that, I think the old styles is certainly not reached its potential.
No.
Yeah, I think we've got some cool things for you to taste today. The Bock Earl that we did recently, and we're working on some other things.
It's actually featured in one of the podcasts, or one of the YouTube clips.
Oh, is it?
We drank the Bock Earl together with Örjan Westerlund, the author of 101 Beers You Have to Drink Before You Die. So we drank the Bock Earl, and that was the first time we tried it, and it was amazing. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, we nerded out on that one.
I'll have to try your Anker Nossi.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, we're going to end the YouTube clip, at least. We're going to record a podcast as well, which is going to be released on the same day as this YouTube clip. So it's probably going to be, I think 1st of April.
Okay.
If 1st of April is a Thursday, this will be released on the 1st of April, hopefully.
April Fools.
April Fools. And so nice to have you with us at Beer Bubbles.
No, seriously,
YouTube
thanks
channel.
for coming down.
Oh, cheers. And whatever you do, guys, drink better beers.